All right, what's going on, friends? Nick Kirby, Craig Sandlin. Not sure if Trace is joining us or not tonight. My camera may be completely out of sync. Not really a whole lot I can do about it. Sorry about that. As Alexis Diaz rips or gives up a pitch ripped to Pete Crow Armstrong. Craig, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy Friday. Weekend is upon us. It's officially quitting time on a Friday on the East Coast, so everybody better be in a good mood. The Reds have a 2-run lead. Not much more you can ask for right now. So I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
All right.
For those of you watching along with us, we are obviously in the bottom of the ninth. Alexis Diaz on the mound, now facing Michael Busch, who steps in for Yan Gomes as a pinch hitter. It's 0-2 on Busch as he fouls it away. So maybe a little bit behind those of you that are lucky enough to have this live on DirecTV or other cable provider. But for those of us that are streaming it, it's now 1-2.
Or those of us who have it on DirecTV but have to pause for those who don't every night.
Okay. Brag about having wired cable. We get it, Nick. So special. At least our cameras and microphones are synced up, brother.
That's true. I got fiber installed yesterday, but that's not helping. It's just this camera it doesn't it's not compatible with this computer, and I keep trying to make it work and it doesn't work.
Or there's some sort of like automated
guy mowing
delay
outside.
Come on, Diaz. Who are we warming up in the bullpen, Nick? I'm not waiting.
I don't know. Man, Diaz. Chat, let me know. Am I out of sync or is it Craig? Let me know. I'm curious. I want to know if it's who's it on here. Because if it's on Craig, I have a potential fix. If it's on me, there's nothing I can do about it.
What do you think, Alex Young?
Here, I'm gonna go full screen. Is my voice and what you're hearing, is it synced or not? Oh, wrong one. There we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's the layout we're supposed to be in. Come on, chat. No one cares. They just want to talk about Diaz. They're not even watching this. They just have the chat up.
Listen, Diaz hasn't pitched in 5
Okay.
days. He last pitched against the Dodgers on the 26th. So come on, Nick Madrigal stepping in as a pinch hitter. Hit him. Get him out of there, Nick.
God.
What are they doing?
Whoa.
Foul ball?
They called a foul ball?
This is reviewable, right?
Yeah.
Or is it only reviewable if they call it a hit by pitch?
it has to be something that's not reviewable, or else Craig Counsell would be this mad, right? There's no way they're gonna be able to overturn that,
We
right?
can't overturn it based on that not based on that replay. It
Yeah,
certainly
I mean,
looked like it hits the bottom of the bat. Do I need the Diaz glasses? I don't quite have the Eclipse glasses like Trace does, but I can put some sunglasses on. Huh. I still don't know that that's conclusive.
Yeah, I mean,
His pinky finger rippling doesn't tell me that. Yeah, his pinky finger rippling doesn't mean that
if it hit the bat. Yeah, I there's no way that has to be call stands.
Confirmed. Not even stands. Confirmed. And now Craig Counsell is going to get thrown out. You can't argue a challenge.
I mean, thanks, Craig, for
how have they not
giving
thrown him
Alexis
out yet?
here a breather. Craig, I'm not in New York, brother.
He didn't get thrown out? I mean, not that it really matters, but like, isn't that like pretty much an automatic ejection?
Nah, that's good. That's good umpiring in this spot. I mean, if it's like the second inning, I would say you can't argue a replay, but I think that's good umpiring. I like a guy that can show a little restraint. I have some respect. All right, Alexis. Diaz just about threw it.
What is happening? Brennan Miller.
This game is drunk. All right. Likes. Definitely need some likes, folks.
Come on. Foul. That hit by pitch ruined my scorecard. I already gave him a hit by pitch, so hopefully hopefully it's not a big deal and we just get this out here and then I can just erase him as a base runner. I didn't advance either of the other two runners yet, so. Alexis Diaz hadn't given up a run in his last 4 outings. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, my God.
Why would he not just have tagged third if he was only going to get one?
That's what I'm saying.
I think it probably would have been easier to tag third and might have a throw at first. I mean, they got one out. The tying run's still on first base. So it doesn't matter. That runner's completely pointless.
Yeah, the runner. Yeah. Gee whiz. I mean, making things interesting in the
weird way of doing it. That's well, a double play.
Right. One down. Seiya Suzuki.
Only thing by getting the runner out at only thing getting the runner out at third makes it a little harder to get the tying run to second base. They could it's a lot easier to steal with the open base versus having 2 guys on.
Oh, Counsell was ejected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a very demonstrative ejection call.
No, not at all.
Did not get his money's worth.
No, he did not. For those wondering, Nick Madrigal at first base has basically average speed in the MLB, 58th percentile. We'll see if he scores on this. Oh, he got him. See ya.
He's out! He's out! Oh my God. Let's go. Let's go. Look at that cut by Hurt. Oh, oh. We're not going to get some BS block at the plate, are we?
He's
Council's
out in
not
fair
there,
territory,
Count.
out in fair territory. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Not even
good.
close.
Oh, well, that's flawless by Stevenson. He was set up perfectly. What a perfect play. Oh my God.
I mean, don't let it be underscored the play that Hurtaby's made to cut that ball off before it got to the wall. Otherwise, Madrigal's scoring easily, but he cut that ball off, made a great throw to Ellie, and then Ellie obviously throws a strike at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
Bellinger. Let's go. Listen. Nobody said it has to be pretty.
Fly the L. Fly the L, baby. Woohoo!
Where's Reed at? Where's Reed? It's time to do a show. A winning.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Boston. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded. The outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on. Long drive. Right field. And this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my. That is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the line. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Win. Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Laser glove, throw to first, and Homer Fairley, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed the nose. Oh, are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
Well, hey, what's going on? Welcome to Chatterbox Reds. On the day the Reds beat the Chicago Cubs, the game was really never in doubt. Reds just dominated start to finish. Craig, how we doing, my friend?
Zero stress at all. The sun is out, Nick. It's Friday. It's a payday. The Reds just beat the Chicago Cubs. I mean, we're watching it with 175 of our closest friends live on YouTube. It sounds like a glorious way to spend a Friday afternoon to me, Nick. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. That was a wild bottom of the ninth. We will certainly talk about all of that. If you are just joining us for the first time on Instagram, as we're on Instagram today, not normally on Instagram, shout out to you. Appreciate you joining us. We do this every single game on YouTube right after the Reds game wins. Shout out to those watching on Twitter as well. It's best to join us on YouTube where you can jump in and join in on the chat. We'll hang out with you, talk a little Reds baseball. I know my camera is not perfectly synced. Not really a whole lot I can do about it right now, but we will try to power through this the best that we can. All right, well, Craig, let's just jump right into the old box score recap. A lot happened in this game, so I know probably a lot of people maybe just getting home might have missed the first couple innings, so we'll run through that as we always do. We start off in where am I at? Reds start off. Sorry, let's reset. All right, Reds starting off a 6-game road trip at Wrigley Field on Friday afternoon. Reds, of course, went 7-6 against the Cubs in 2023. It was Graham Ashcraft against Javier Assad. Nothing game going into the bottom of the second. Graham Ashcraft gave up a leadoff single to Christopher Morel on a 1-2 count, and then Ian Happ crushed his 30th career home run against the Reds to make it 2-0. Reds were held in check through the first 3 innings against Javier Assad, but finally got it going in the 4th. Spencer Steer had a 1-out walk. Jake Fraley then singled, and then Tyler Stevenson singled to make it a 2-1 game. Then the next batter, Nick Martini, smoked a single right back up the middle, tied the game up at 2. Graham Ashcraft, he pitched around base runners in the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th inning, but in the bottom of the 5th, it finally cost him as he loaded the bases with 2 outs. He loaded them on 2 walks and a hit by pitch. David Bell went to his bullpen and went to Fernando Cruz against Ian Happ. Cruz got ahead 1-2 in the count, but then Happ fouled off several pitches, ended up working a bases-loaded 9-pitch walk, 3-2 Cubs. Another short start for Graham Ashcraft. He went 4 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's 5 consecutive starts for Ashcraft where he did not get through the 5th inning. Fernando Cruz came back out through a 1-2-3 bottom of the 6th, and then the top of the 7th, Jonathan India had a leadoff walk. David Bell went to his bench. Santiago Espinal to pinch hit for Will Benson. Will Benson, he was 1 for 1 with a double and a walk, but David Bell's move sure paid off because Santiago Espinal hit a 2-run home run to left center field, 4-3 Reds. Sam Moll would go 1-2-3 in the 7th. Lucas Sims pitched a scoreless 8th to get the Reds to the 9th up 4-3. And the Reds got a very big insurance run in the top of the 9th. Jonathan India doubled. Santiago Espinal laid down a sac bunt. And then TJ Friedl had an RBI single. Then we go to the bottom of the 9th. Alexis Diaz on the mound. He had a leadoff single to Pete Crow Armstrong. Walked Michael Busch. Then he was able to get Nick Madrigal to ground into a force out after some controversy where Craig Counsell got ejected. He thought that Madrigal got hit by a pitch. Looked to me like it probably hit the bat first, but nonetheless, Madrigal got out. Then Seattle Suzuki doubled. Looked like it was going to tie the game, but Jacob Hurtubise, who came in the game late to play left field, made a perfect Reed cutting the ball off, fired in the ball to Ellie De La Cruz, who threw an absolute missile home. Tyler Stevenson positioned perfectly, got the tag down. Reds kept a 5-4 lead. And then Diaz got Cody Bellinger to fly out. It might have gone 317 feet. It might have had an exit velocity of 107.3, but it was an out. Reds win 5-4. Reds win number 20 of the season. And of course, our DSC deep drive of the game is none other than Santiago Espinal, his third home run of the year. 98.9 off the bat, 385 feet. Our deep drive of the day, sponsored as always by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production. They specialize in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks as always to our friends at DSC. All right, well, plenty to talk about, Craig. Let's start off with the let's start off with the ninth inning. I mean, I'm still trying to catch my breath on that inning. Obviously, Diaz is a concern. I mean, I don't know what else to say at this point. But I'm making the story of this game that play, because that play was executed as flawlessly as you could have. Hurtubise absolutely did his job. Ellie De La Cruz did what you would expect Ellie De La Cruz to be. And I think something underrated was Tyler Stevenson positioned perfectly, didn't give any sort of even chance for the Cubs to challenge that he was maybe blocking the plate, positioned perfectly, made a great tag. Just flawless execution by the Reds defense that, I tell you what.
Yeah, fundamentals for this team have been kind of hit or miss, right? So it was really nice to see on that final play, or the second to last play, I should say, for the fundamentals to come together. Hurtubise, like you said, a great play to cut that off. He picked it up on a short hop down the line, made a great throw to Ellie. Don't let that be overshown either. Made a great throw to Ellie. Ellie then turns and fires a 93.3 mile per hour missile to Tyler Stevenson to gun down the runner at the plate. And like you said, Tyler Stevenson set up perfectly, ultimately saves the Reds the game, and they pick up the W. Without that, obviously doesn't happen. There was a number of key moments I felt like throughout this game, but none more key than that one. And you saw, who was it? Pete Crow Armstrong, I think, as he was rounding third base, was waving him home, was waving Madrigal home. And we were talking about it as we were watching it happen live. Madrigal with average speed, not necessarily the fastest runner, but certainly not a scrub by any means. And they're showing it again right now on Reds Live. And it just, from the moment the ball was hit, Hurtubise gets a great jump. Hurtubise with a great stop, makes a perfect throw to Ellie. Ellie, obviously, with the perfect throw to Tyler Stevenson. And just from beginning to end, a perfect play in a perfect way to escape the ninth inning.
Yeah, fundamentals like you talked. Look, Jacob Hurtubise is certainly not the most gifted athlete defensively, but just his ability to get to that quickly, perfect read, fire it quickly, knowing that he didn't have a lot of time to waste. And then somehow, when that ball was hit off the bat, would you have even have thought that there was a chance that there was going to be a clear and definitive out of the plate, like out by several feet? Like, you thought at best maybe the Reds get a tag at the last second. Just incredible how that play developed.
Well, here's what's amazing to me, and it came up in two specific plays that I can think of. And this is not meant to be a knock against anybody, but so often in the major leagues, you see guys who put in zero effort on plays that otherwise may have been close or may have been, different results, right? Hurtubise on that play puts in a great effort. The guys around, Ellie puts in a great effort. Tyler puts in a great effort. But again, if Hurtubise doesn't make that effort to cut that ball off down the line, then we're not even talking about this play at this moment right now. But he made a great play to cut it off. Earlier in the game, Cody Bellinger hustled out a single on a play that otherwise would have resulted in an out. It may have been maybe it was a fielder's choice is what it ended up being in the fifth inning, where Steer went to second, and then the ball would have come back. And normally that would be an easy double play, but Bellinger legging it out saves the out, and again is able to move forward. So, I'm not sitting here and say that you got to run it out on every single play, but it makes sense why you see managers occasionally bench guys when they don't put effort out, or they talk about it a lot, at least. I mean, in those two plays specifically, you saw the value of effort. And, for the Reds, obviously it came out on their end there in the ninth. Just a play that I think we'll be talking about for a little while, out of a team who, quite frankly, has made a number of really good defensive plays. Now, they've had their share of errors, but they've also made their fair share of really good, spectacular defensive plays. So, you get some good ones, you get some bad ones. Today was a really good one.
Yeah, I think errors are certainly not the way to evaluate statistics at all by any stretch of the imagination. But the Reds are actually top 10 in Major League Baseball in fewest errors, which is hard to believe. And the Reds, like their defensive metrics overall, I think they're about 20th, but the Reds are at -6 defensive run saves. And as someone who kind of tracks this throughout the year, they were at -6 defensive run save like 3 weeks into the year. So they've basically been an average defense, which for the group that you have without Noelvi Marte, without Matt McLean, for this team defensively to be an average defensive team is quite a significant leap from what we saw those first couple weeks of the season. And you just can't say enough about Elly De La Cruz. Even when he's not hitting, he finds ways to impact the game. He almost stole a run as well in this game when he stole second base, got third easily on a wild pitch, and then almost actually got home on a weird kicked ball situation. But before I forget, our good friend Molly, a super chat. Appreciate you, Molly. The Reds are meat. Let's go, Molly. Appreciate you watching as always. All right, let's talk about Alexis Diaz. I don't know, man. I'm pretty concerned. I know you had said that he hadn't pitched in a while. You had read, how long had it been since the last time we had saw Diaz?
Last outing was on May 26th, so 5 days essentially.
I don't know. I mean, it's tough waters for Diaz right now. I don't know how effective Diaz is in any other role. Like, this isn't a closer that I feel like, all right, let's go put him in the 6th inning and it's going to be better, right? And the Reds are going to play so many of these one-run games. You want to give yourself a chance to get to the 9th. I don't really want Diaz coming in the 6th inning of a tie game or a one-run game either. So I don't know. That Diaz, it stinks because it felt like he was kind of, he had a couple outings where he really had pumped in a lot of strikes, and then this was just a really big step backwards.
Yeah, his last 4 outings before today, he had given up 1 total hit in 3 2/3 innings. So, I think what we found with Diaz is a little bit of inconsistency for sure, because prior to that, he had given up a run in 3 straight outings. So, he's a bit of a streaky pitcher, to say the least. I don't know if that has to do with his confidence. I don't know if that has to do with just situational baseball or what it is. But the question becomes, like, if it's not Diaz, then where are you going to go, right? We've talked throughout the season. Are you going to go to Fernando Cruz? Well, Fernando Cruz wasn't perfect today either. He walked in a run. Are you going to go to Brent Suter, who was a conversation for a little while? Well, Brent Suter hasn't looked great recently either. Are you going to go to Sam Moll? A lot of people are concerned about Sam Moll's velocity and his spin rate. Are you going to, the question is, where are you going to go? And Fernando Cruz has at least earned the opportunity to be your closer until proven otherwise. Now, was today stressful? Yeah. Yeah, it was. But eventually the job got done. He picks up the save. The Reds win the game. I don't want to overblow it, right? At the end of the day, he gives up the single to Pete Crow Armstrong, and then he walks Michael Busch, and you're like, oh God, here we go again. And even I'm saying it on the stream, get somebody up, get somebody loosening up. Like, who are we going to get ready to go? And then we turn around, he gets fielder's choice out of Nick Madrigal to get the out. Seiya Suzuki obviously reaches, and then on the double, and then but Madrigal being gunned down, and then he nails and gets Bellinger to fly out to right. So look, I don't know what the answer is with Alexis Diaz. I think a lot of times with closers in general, they really want that high pressure situation and they become kind of nails when that happens. It would be really nice to just have a couple outings where you don't have to sweat at all. And we got that the last couple times Alexis Diaz was out there. But I don't know. The last time he was out, the Reds had a 2-run lead. The time before that, they were down 2. And the time before that, they had a 2-0 lead. So, I mean, he's not coming into games where they're particularly like 1-run, high leverage moments where, the Reds tried to go with another bullpen arm and they walked the bases loaded and then they had to bring him in like they did with Fernando Cruz today. So I don't know. It just, I think ultimately right now, until you have somebody really step up and prove that they can be that go-to guy, I don't know how you make a move away from Fernando or from Alexis. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, but it's worth, I think, acknowledging that we're teetering in some dangerous waters right here. And the last thing the Reds can do is afford to lose games like this. And you think you're lucky stars. Felt like the Reds deserve to win a game like this, where it felt like this is one that's going to get away from you. I'm sure Cubs fans right now are going, how did they lose this game? Like, they were coming back. They had all the momentum, all that. I feel like the Reds hadn't won a lot of those games this year, right? And so nice to get one of these. Hey, look, now you got a chance to win one of these next 2. You can end the Reds already ended the streak of losing consecutive series. Now they're one win away from ending a streak of losing series on the road, because the Reds have lost, I think, 7 series in a row on the road. All right, let's talk.
Let's look a couple of things. One, let's look at the positive side. The Reds are now 2-11 in 1-run games, thanks to
this was a one-run win.
Alexis Diaz.
This was a one-run win,
right? So let's not forget that. Maybe he did it on purpose. He just wanted to make it a 1-run win because we gotta. That's right. The other thing, and they mentioned it on the broadcast today, the Reds are now 12-7 in series openers, right? But they've lost their last 8 rubber matches. So the pressure almost becomes even greater tomorrow to pick up a W, because if they get into a situation where they have to pick up a rubber match on Sunday, their record is not great this year in those rubber matches. So, big win today, obviously. Picked up a 1-run victory, but yeah, I think a lot of us would have preferred a no sweat outing.
No. Now that you said it, I'm happy. I have no problems with Alexis Diaz. Thank you, because the 1-run losses, it's so stupid. It's so dumb. People, this team's not clutch. It's all, so much of it is luck. So much of it, like today, it was dependent on you blowing a 2-run lead to make it a 1-run game. So people overanalyze the 1-11 record, just like they overanalyzed last year when the Reds were like 5 games above 500. All that stuff is so overblown. So thank you, Alexis Diaz. You're a team guy. You're a Nick Kirby guy, and I appreciate it. All right. Let's move on to Santiago Espinal. What a big hit. And you have to start with that role today, because you start with Will Benson, who is swinging the bat a lot better. Double and a walk. He thought he got a home run. Probably should have been hustling out of the box. Maybe could have got a triple. I don't know. That's probably still, a little far. But nonetheless, Will Benson swinging the bat much better. But Will Benson, in his role, 2 at-bats against right-handed pitching. He gets pinch hit for a guy who gets a left-handed pitcher. Santiago Espinal, in his role, a guy that's supposed to only face left-handed pitchers, be your backup infielder. Great to see 2 guys perform in their exact role that they were designed to be in this team, to what you would hope out of them.
Yeah, that double from Will Benson, 110.5 miles per hour off the bat. That thing was smoked. So I don't know if he gets 3 off that anyway, because it was hit so hard. But yeah, I love Will Benson's swag. I think it's part of what makes him him, and I think Ellie needs a little bit of that sometimes. But a little frustrated at him watching that play. But yeah, then Espinal coming in. I think that might have been the most surprising Reds moment for me in like, I don't even know how long. For sure this entire season, but probably going back to like maybe even the 12-game win streak last year. Like, I can't think of a more shocking moment for me than when Santiago Espinal gets called off the bench to come in the 7th inning and face Drew Smyly and hits a bomb, no doubter, to left field. Like, I don't know about you, Nick. It was the last thing I expected to happen. It was Santiago Espinal's first career pinch hit home run. And to do it in that moment against the Cubs at Wrigley, that's big time for sure. Shout out to him. And yeah, and then let's not forget, like, shout out to him also, first pitch of his next at bat, getting that sacrifice bunt down, something that a lot of players struggle with, if we're being honest. Gets that sacrifice bunt down, moves Jacob Hurtubise over to third base, and allows him to score on that single from TJ Friedl. So, I don't know if Hurtubise would have scored on that single or not, but another big play that Santiago Espinal contributed to the team today.
Santiago Espinal is certainly not a power hitter, so the home run is surprising. But people should not be surprised that this guy can hit left-handed pitching. This is a guy coming into today, nearly 400 career at-bats against left-handed pitching, 293 average, 348 on base percentage. This guy has been a solid, above-average hitter against left-handed pitching throughout his career. Got off to an absolutely miserable start his first couple weeks in Cincinnati after getting traded a couple days before the season started. He's going to be a fine player that is going to be fine in his role. The home run, certainly that part of it was surprising, but you hope that he can get a hit there. Like that's a good, solid move. You're probably hoping he can maybe get a double there, but nonetheless, it works out today. And then, yeah, I've talked about it many times. I'm very pro sack bunt when you have a lead. When you're trying to go from a 1-run lead to a 2-run lead, especially to a 3-run lead, the difference in your win probability is worth it, in my opinion, the trade-off versus giving up the chance at a big inning. I do not like sack bunts when you're down a run or you're tied. But in that spot right there, that was, and it definitely turned out to be big. All right, last thing before we get into before we talk about our friends at Game Time in 988, let's talk about the other relievers, because it would be very easy to kind of forget about the job that they did in this game, especially since the Reds were losing. And this is very reminiscent of just the other day when Suter and Farmer gave up a run and the Reds tried to come back in the 9th. Well, these guys held the line and gave this team a chance to come back. So I thought Fernando Cruz did a really nice job after walking in that run. Again, it's kind of ridiculous to expect Fernando Cruz is always going to get you out of those situations. And we'll certainly talk about Ashcraft. I've got some thoughts on him a little later on. But nice job by Cruz. I thought Sam Moll maybe looked as good as he's looked so far this season. Pitched a really good inning. Lucas Sims, he got the job done. Nice to see Lucas Sims throwing strikes. Lucas Sims seems like he's gotten himself back on track. Craig, what was your thoughts about the non-Diaz relievers?
Yeah, I thought so look, the Cruz walk, obviously unfortunate, but that was a 9-pitch at bat by Ian Happ. A really good at bat, just happened to win it. Unfortunate that happens with bases loaded, because if it's obviously a different situation, you're not even talking about it. And then he comes back out, obviously, and gets 1, 2, 3, 6th as well, which was huge in that moment to kind of cut off any potential momentum for the Cubs to go. Sam Moll, like you said, 1, 2, 3 in a fairly clean inning. And Lucas Sims, good to see him back on track. Did give up the single to Nico Horner, but otherwise a fairly straightforward inning. Threw a lot of strikes, which I thought was important. Threw 11 strikes and 16 pitches. So important for him to be in the zone for sure. So other than Diaz, and again, I don't know what to make of Diaz, but the 3 other relievers go 3 1/3, give up 1 hit, no runs in a game where, when they came into it, at least, had a potential. It was a tie ball game, right? It's 2-2 at that point. Cruz comes in and gives up the walk to give up the lead, and you got a potential of saying, "Oh God, here we go again," or oh man, what's going to happen now? The Reds, this is indicative of how this season is going. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. You know, Mull comes in and slams the door. Sims comes in, slams the door. So yeah, I was very happy with the bullpen today.
Yeah, good stuff all around. And you know what else is good stuff, Craig? The Game Time app. Oh, it's covering your face. You're higher.
I'll just hide for a minute. I'll hide for a minute.
You're higher than the spot normally is. But be sure to check out the Game Time app. Of course, why not make a trip up to Wrigley Field, see if the Reds can get this series win tomorrow. Maybe a sweep on Sunday. That'd be fun. Maybe jump in a plane, go fly out to Coors Field next week. It's a beautiful, beautiful city, Denver. Catch a game there. Of course, the Reds will be back in town soon. FC Cincinnati, wherever you want to do, make sure you do it with the Game Time app. Game Time app now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. That makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer that it gets to first pitch. They've got killer last-minute deals, all in pricing, views from your seats, and the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CINCY, CINCY, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And I thought we'd be giving out the 988 number a lot more if that wasn't for that great defensive relay from the Reds. But as always, you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether you're in an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. All right, let's jump in.
The Reds had a good segment in the pregame show today. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but Jake Fraley talking about the mental side of baseball. And so good tie-in here with our friends in 988 and Man Therapy. You know, baseball is a very mental game. I will say real quick, one guy who I'm struggling with right now is Elly De La Cruz. And I will use that as a transition. His first 3 at-bats today had me tearing my hair out. So first 3 at-bats, 3 strikeouts. In the first inning, it was a 1-2-3 straight strikeout, no work at all. In the third, he struck out swinging at a ball that bounced in front of the plate, Nick. In front of the plate. It was brutal. And then in the 5th inning, he strikes out. He swung at 3 balls out of the zone. The dude is killing me right now. And here's the thing, right? And I think it comes down to mentals. He's got to have the confidence in himself to trust his hands, sit back, read the pitch. Because right now he's clearly guessing, and he is clearly predetermining what he's going to do on every single pitch before it ever happens. And it is frustrating the hell out of me, Nick. I just have to get that off my chest. It's important to share and verbalize your struggles. Elly, for me right now, one of my challenges. But hey, as Lance said in the chat, the Reds won. It's a glorious day. Don't want to talk too much about the negatives. There were a couple. TJ Friedl swinging at the first pitch after a 4-pitch walk to Benson in the 5th really struck me too. But a lot of positives, Nick. What do you got next on the rundown?
Well, first off, Craig, what is the number 1 rule for this season? The number 1 rule is do not waste 1 second worrying about Elly De La Cruz. Come on, we've seen this before. We've seen this. He struggles for a week, couple weeks at a time. He'll figure it out. He's 22 years old. He's the best player on this team. Half the time, he's the only reason it's worth tuning into this team. Do not waste 1 second worrying about Elly De La Cruz. He's going to be okay. Let him struggle. Let him pick himself back up. He's going to be fine. All right. Someone I'm not sure is going to be fine, though, is Graham Ashcraft. I'm a little concerned. I felt like he deserved a little bit of a pass with the last 2 starts against the Dodgers. Man, 5 straight starts, he hasn't gotten through 5 innings. Kind of felt like that was what Graham Ashcraft brought to the table. A guy that was going to grind and get you through, eat some innings, get you through 6, 7. He's not doing that. I don't know if I'm not nervous. I don't really care if like people clip me up anymore. I'm past those days, but I'm a little hesitant to like go too far on Graham Ashcraft, because the last time I went too far on Graham Ashcraft, I think me and Trace both said, yeah, he needs to go to sit down at Triple-A and get right. And then he rolls off like 2 months of flawless pitching last year. So he's certainly proven that he's capable of turning it around even when times are a lot darker than they are right now. But I don't know, with Brandon Williamson being a guy that's close, I don't know. Talk me in or out. I need someone to kind of guide me here, because I'm really on the fence. Should the Reds consider moving Ashcraft to the bullpen temporarily, giving Brandon Williamson a shot, kind of seeing how that works? If it doesn't work, you switch back, or do they just need to keep riding out the Graham Ashcraft experience?
All right. You're putting me on a spot here, Nick. Here's the thing. I think Graham Ashcraft looked worse than his numbers ended up today.
I agree.
So he ends up 4 2/3. Only technically he was up 3 earned runs, 5 hits. He had the 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. I didn't think he looked good today, really at all. If I'm being honest, I thought his control was all over the place. You saw multiple situations. He hit 2 batters. He had multiple others that were, over guys' heads or up and in. I don't know if it was the heat of playing a day game at Wrigley and he just didn't have grip on the ball or what it is, but he certainly did not look like he had control of the ball. And they talked about it on the broadcast a little bit, but like Graham Ashcraft has to be able to spot his pitches. Like he's not a good enough pitcher to just overpower guys or to be able to not control where the ball is going. So today was really frustrating for me personally. In the month of May, including today, where he walked 2 plus had 2 hits batters, he's given up 13 free passes. I mean, it's just too many. It's just too many. And for a guy who's not throwing that many innings, his last outings, 5 1/3, 5, 4, 5, 6. Today, 4 2/3. Like, he's just not getting the job done. Now, does that mean I'm ready to send him to the bullpen? I don't know. Do we need to experiment with an opener for him? I don't know. I just don't know what the right answer is, because he comes out, he looked great in the first inning. That first inning was so clean. He went 10 pitches, 1, 2, 3, struck out Suzuki. It looked good. So it's not like he's coming out and just struggling to get going. But then in the second, you turn around and he just, single home run to Ian Happ. I don't know. I didn't feel like he had his control in that second inning. He threw 26 pitches. I don't know. The numbers they don't look as bad as it feels. It felt so much worse than the numbers look like.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that he was pretty fortunate to get through as many innings as he did. So I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's really going to have to kind of be a day by day thing where you see how Ashcraft continues to pitch, you see how Williamson continues to pitch down in Triple-A. But I'm not against them saying, hey, let's make a move. I think the Reds sometimes, if something I don't maybe love, is they're very like, I like overall the patience, because I don't like this just instant we make big reactions, whatever. But I do think sometimes the Reds are a little too cautious to move guys out of roles and just try something different. Whereas, like a team like the Brewers, man, they'll throw you as a starter, they'll throw you as a reliever, they'll throw you in Triple-A, they'll throw you in Double-A, they'll move you all around. Like they don't really mess around. So I don't know. I think the Reds, it might be worth looking into.
So let me throw this out, Nick. And he's got a small small sample size to really look at. But in May and June last year, Graham Ashcraft made 10 starts. He went 45 and 2/3 innings, so not even 5 innings per outing. He had an ERA of 9.66 during that time, a 6.52 FIP. His batting average against was 340. But then if you look and you go forward, his ERA the rest of the way, if you take out those terrible 2 months of May and June, and you go just in July, August, and September, you're talking about a guy that started 11 games, went 70 innings, 2.70 ERA with a batting average against a 237. So, and obviously then he got hurt, and so he missed a lot at the end of the year, but he didn't give up more than 3 runs in a game the last 11 starts of this, or his last 12 starts, really, if you go back to the end of June. But from May 7th until June 24th, he was just not good last year either. And so I don't know if that has something to do with it, the timing, the humidity, who knows? I'm reading way too much into it. But I also will say that the Reds stuck with him, and it paid off dividends in the end. So if you want any sort of solace, sticking with him last year turned him into one of the better pitchers on the Reds rotation at the end of the year last year, or at least until he went down on the IL.
He's a confusing pitcher. He is. he's a confusing guy because he doesn't really look any different when he's like good versus bad, right? Like it's not like, oh, he's walking a bunch of guys or not. No, just somehow, he gets through these innings.
Even when he's good, it's just because he's a bulldog, right? We talk about him being a bulldog and kind of grinding it out. To be fair, that's what he did today too. It was ugly along the way, but like the damage he gave up was the home run to Ian Happ. If you take that away, like realistically, it wasn't that bad of an outing. He just made that one bad pitch to Ian Happ. And so I don't know, that it was a fastball up and out over the plate to Ian Happ. It was a poor location. It just goes back to like, there are pitchers out there who are efficiently wild. Like that is a thing for sure. But those people are like able to throw 97, 98. And don't get me wrong, Graham Ashcraft can throw it up there. I think he hit 95 today-ish. So it's not like he's like a Greg Maddux out there, but he's got to be better. It's got to be better.
Brian B brings up a really interesting point in the chat. Try openings for Montes and Ashcraft. I don't know about Montes just because this guy has a much bigger track record as a starter. I like to kind of ride through him a little bit, see kind of what you can get. But I love that idea for Ashcraft. I mean, he hasn't been able to pitch deep into the games. The Reds have had some success with openers. I kind of like that idea. I think it might just, throw off, the timing of the hitters a little bit. Ashcraft coming in the second versus the first. It's just a different look. I like that idea, Brian. I think that's a solid idea.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would throw out there, I mean, his splits, he obviously is much better against right-handed batters, right? So, if you start, you go out there and you start a left-handed reliever, a Brent Suter or something like that, Alex Young even in an opener role, and then you go to Ashcraft and you have potentially turn the top of the lineup around. I don't know. Could be interesting to see what happens. There was a time where openers were a lot more prevalent than they are now, but maybe David Bell's the guy to bring it back.
Let's bring it back. Let's run it back. All right. One more guy I wanted to talk about before we kind of get into tomorrow's starters and some Reds MILB is Tyler Stevenson. Man, he's having a really nice year. Had 2 hits today and a walk, so on base 3 times. What a season for Tyler Stevenson. Of course, he made, the end of that great defensive relay. His defense has been better. His pitch calling seems to be better. Everything, all the vibes around Tyler Stevenson seem to be better. Craig, our good friend, Redson4, Mitch, he threw it out on X.com today. Extend Tyler Stevenson?
I mean, if he's going to continue to improve and play the way he's been playing, then I'm all for it. I mean, here's the challenge with Tyler Stevenson is that you had a good year, you had 2 bad years, and then now you've got a good year again. So like, which Tyler Stevenson is the real Tyler Stevenson? I think conversations that we've had, I think probably the one we're seeing now is more likely closer to the real Tyler Stevenson than what we've seen previously out of him. Doesn't mean that he's going to be necessarily this good per se. But I'll give you a little bit of props. When we did our show this offseason and looked at Zip's projections, the projection that we talked about for Tyler Stevenson was 1.6 WAR, and you were the only person that went over on that, Nick. So props to you for Mr. Positivity on Tyler Stevenson. But coming back to today's game, the thing that stood out to me was that all 3 of Tyler Stevenson's batted balls were to the right field. Now, I realize that some may say, well, he's late on balls, whatever. Whether it's intentional or not, I don't really know. The broadcast would certainly have you believe that he's doing this on purpose. But a lot of times when you see guys slumping or whatever, the key to get out of that slump is to start to go the opposite way. Sit back on the pitch, take it where it is, go the opposite way. So for Tyler Stevenson today, single to right field RBI, walk on a full count, fly out to right field at the end on a decent at bat. It's a good sign. And like you said, he's been playing much better this year. And again, the piece that's been somewhat unheralded is that defensively, he is significantly better this year than he was previously. Now, I still don't love the way he calls games sometimes. Some of his pitch selection and pitch location is questionable sometimes to me. But I think that that's, again, teachable or correctable versus the at-bats and defense behind the plate. I think he's come a long way on that.
On the contract extension, the Reds have control of Stevenson for 2 more years after this, so 2025 and 2026. If you're extending Tyler Stevenson, it's still like somewhat of a lottery ticket. This isn't like, yeah, we're extending because he's surefire going to give us 2 more years, 3 more years beyond that. You're kind of taking some risk and saying, hey, let's give it a shot. And why would you do that? Well, because you're paying Luke Maile $3.5 million this year. That is the going rate for a backup catcher. Catchers are expensive. So if you have an opportunity to pay Tyler Stevenson a little bit, give Tyler Stevenson a little bit of financial security, I think it's worth looking into. The number, and I'm sure like it's gone up, but the number that kind of goes to my head as kind of a comp for kind of the situation the Reds are in, and it didn't work out, but it also wasn't a contract that it didn't handcuff the Reds for years and years, was Devin Mesoraco. We signed a 4-year, $28 million contract extension. I think if you could get Tyler Stevenson for maybe 2 more years, I don't know, $30, $40 million, I think it's worth a shot. I think that's worth looking into just because get him now. Because if he does perform well the rest of this year, he performs well again next year, he's going to be like, yeah, screw you. I'm a year away from free agency. I'm going to see what I can get on the open market because I know how much catchers get. I know how much catchers are worth. So it was kind of a wild thought, something I hadn't even really considered. But nonetheless, I thought it was a fascinating topic for sure.
Well, and you mentioned Luke Maile, and I'm not here to pile on Luke Maile by any means, but again, you mentioned Mitch earlier. He had a tweet the other day. The Reds this year, at least at this point, and this was after the game on the 29th, so they were off yesterday, so it's accurate now. In games that Luke Maile started, the Reds are now 5-17. In games that Tyler Stevenson has started, now 21-16. Now, is that a reflection of the pitchers that those guys catch? Is it a reflection of the offense that they provide? Is it a reflection of pitch calling and their abilities behind the plate? I'll let you decide that. All I'm going to say is that trends are trends.
Yeah, I don't.
Nick's not going to go with that. I know that you're not going to go with that.
No.
But I'm going to bring it up anyway. We like Mitch. Mitch had an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean, I love what Tyler Stevenson's done this year. I think those records are just completely small sample error. You have to dive into those games individually, kind of see exactly what happened. A lot of these were probably 1-run losses. So if that flips one way or the other, did Tyler Stevenson make or did Luke Maile make the Reds lose a 1-run game? Probably not. So I don't buy that. I did see one other good question in the chat kind of about that from Kyle, basically saying that Tyler Stevenson should play more. And look, I get it. There's definitely a pretty clear drop off between Tyler Stevenson and Luke Maile. I still think you have to be very cautious with Tyler Stevenson. I don't think you want to go overboard. This is a guy that has not really caught like a full season in his career. I don't think you want to be running him out there 6 days a week, running him into the ground. By the time August rolls around, he's completely gassed. You have to still be conscious of that. In my opinion, where are you at with kind of his usage? This is a guy that during his career, he's not started more than 78 games. 78 games last year was the most he ever started behind the plate.
That's kind of shocking to me. Look, here's the thing. I agree with you that you can't run him into the ground. I don't want to send him out there every single day. I don't want to send him out there 6 days a week. But I also don't know that sending him out there for 60% of the games is the right answer. Like, I think there's a mix there that he can start more games without it having to be every game, if that makes sense. I also think, and this is where the conversation comes in, is that there are opportunities to get his bat in the lineup without him necessarily starting behind the plate. And that's something that I don't think we've seen enough of this year from Tyler Stevenson. Is I wouldn't mind seeing him DH a little bit more. I think he's got the bat to do it. And I don't necessarily know that the bats that we've been putting in place are that much better or better at all, to be frank. And so, he's only played 2 games as the DH. He's only gotten 2 starts as a DH. So, I don't know. I wouldn't mind experimenting with that a little bit. I certainly understand the concern about wear and tear, especially on the knees behind the plate as a catcher. But wouldn't mind thinking about throwing him in the lineup a little bit more, even if he's not catching.
What they always say, though, remember, if you DH him, it handcuffs you later in the game because
I know
you can't pinch hit for Luke Maile. And is that where, you know what I mean? Like there's a cause and effect here. So you have to worry about that. If he plays 70, if he starts 70% of the games, that would be 113 games started. So he'd be going from 78 to 113. So 70% is still a massive increase in workload for him. So I do think that's just something to monitor. Look, I want Tyler Stevenson out there every day. I wish that he had could get the Marte juice and just be able to grind through a full season. But I also don't want to have Tyler Stevenson completely gassed by the time it gets to August. If the Reds are able to turn the season around, well, if you're all of a sudden Tyler Stevenson's on the IL, and then you're having Luke Maile and Michael Trotwine, with all due respect, catching every single day for 2 months of the year. So I think that's something you have to, you do really kind of have to balance.
Yeah, he's on pace right now for 105 starts. So it's not like he's not playing. It's just,
yeah.
When I think the feelings on this would be a lot different if Luke Maile had been playing like Luke Maile was last year, right? Like if that drop off wasn't so severe, you wouldn't be so concerned about Tyler Stevenson being in the lineup. But right now with Luke Maile being an auto out every time he's up at the plate, it seems like recently, that kind of leads you to feeling like, okay, well, why are we even putting him in? When in reality, if he was even, hitting 225, I think we might be feeling a little bit different. But right now, I think he's down under 200 for the season. Like, that's not going to instill a lot of confidence in the Reds fan base to say, yeah, let's throw a guy out there who's hitting $167 with a negative WAR instead of Tyler Stevenson, who is hitting 241 with a WAR of 1.0 already this year. So that's probably the bigger conversation, is like, maybe it's not Tyler Stevenson needs to be starting more, but does there need to be a conversation about Luke Maile potentially not being your backup catcher? And I'm not going down that. We don't need to have that conversation today, Nick. I see your response. I know how you feel about it. I'm not sure that you're going to go to Austin Wins for game 68, but it's still something to think about. You can't consistently have a guy in your starting lineup 40%, 45%, 35% of the games if he's going to consistently hit 165 or whatever I just said he's hitting for the year. So 167.
Yeah, a couple quick points on that before we shift to Reds MILB, just kind of running what's coming up tonight and what's up next. Your point about not feeling like Stevenson has to be in the lineup if Luke Maile was playing better, absolutely 100% true. But I don't think it's just that. I think if it was the fact that Tyler Stevenson's 744 OPS, if that wasn't second best on the team right now, it wouldn't be as drastic either. Like if 744 OPS was like the fifth or sixth best on the team, like which is probably what you would have expected coming into the year, then you'd be like, oh, whatever, we can get by with Luke Maile. It's just a combination of how bad the offense has been overall. The other thing is two things is on Maile. You have to look at what do backup catchers across Major League Baseball do. You go look through what they're performing at, you're probably going to feel a little bit better about Luke Maile because there's not a whole lot of really good hitting backup catchers. And then the last point is you have to be really careful. It's almost like with relievers. You don't just want to be like, this catcher, he's not performing well, we're going to DFA him. Because then you call up the next guy, Michael Trotwine, Austin Wins, whoever. Well, what happens when then Tyler Stevenson gets hurt, or Austin Wins gets hurt? Oh, well, now you're going even deeper into your catching, and it can get into a situation like the Reds had back in, was it 2022, where the Reds were like trying to find any catcher on the waiver wire, and you have guys that couldn't even catch the ball behind the plate. So you have to also be conscious of that. But the Reds, I can assure you, if there's one thing I know, they are not DFAing a backup catcher making $3.5 million. I kid. You can put that to the bank. I do not think that's going to happen. Clip me up if that happens. That would be you would never been a complaint about ownership if they did that, because there's no way this ownership group is going to do that.
Is there a projection out on Tyler Stevenson on what it would cost to sign him?
It all depends on how many years. I mean, if you want to extend Tyler Stevenson to a 6-year deal, you could probably get a pretty low AAV on him. But if you're trying to just get like 2 or 3 more years, which would be, I think, in the Reds' best interest, I mean, you're probably looking at paying him $15-20 million for those 2 or 3 extra years. I don't know. Catching market's hard to evaluate because you'll see some guys like Tucker Barnhart, like, with all due respect, some of the career earnings that guy's made, you shake your head. Like the Cubs, how much they paid Tucker Barnhart? They paid him like $6.5 million for 1 year. So sometimes it's hard to predict. But then you'll see other guys that are decent hitting catchers, and you're like, that's all he got. So the catching market is by far one of the most difficult ones to predict.
Yeah, and let's keep in mind, I mean, he's going to be 28 this year. Like you said, you've got him under control for 2 more years. That puts him through his year 30 season, essentially. So, how much more do you want to extend him beyond that for a catcher? I don't know. It's a good question.
All right. Reds MILB. Everyone plays tonight. Daytona's at 6:35. Dayton will be at 7:35. Chattanooga's at 7 o'clock. They just actually announced, I just saw it, Chase Petty is starting. Chattanooga, they like to announce their starting pitchers about like 5 minutes before the game starts, so shout out to them. And then Louisville, tonight at 7:15, Lyon Richardson will be on the mound. As always, Chatterbox Reds in your podcast feed. I'll run through all of the Reds minor league action tomorrow morning, so be sure to check that out. All right, tomorrow, this is a fun matchup, 7:15, National Fox again. The Reds are on National Fox every weekend. This is kind of cool. Hunter Green up against Justin Steele. Hunter has been pitching very, very well of late. Let me see if I can find my notes. He's coming off 2 great starts against the Dodgers, 1.95 ERA over his last 6 starts. He's got a career 3.43 ERA against the Cubs in 4 starts last year, and his only start against the Cubs, you might remember he threw 6 no-hit innings at Wrigley Field. I believe it was right around this time of the year as well. Struck out 11 batters in that game. Cody Bellinger, 3 for 3 with a home run off Green. Haps, 2 for 6 with a homer. Nico Horner's 2 for 8 with a homer. Morel's 2 for 8. Suzuki 1 for 5. Swanson 0 for 5. All right, Justin Steele. This is a guy who finished 5th in the NL Cy Young voting last year, but got off to a really rough start to the season. He actually got hurt on opening day, missed about 6 weeks, and then he struggled upon his return. However, coming off his best start of the year by a mile, 7 shutout innings at the Brewers, only gave up 3 hits, struck out 8, and just allowed 1 walk. But some good news. Steele's got a career 7.53 ERA in 8 games against your Cincinnati Reds. Last year, Reds had 18 hits in 9 2/3 innings against him. Tyler Stevenson, 7 for 10 with a double against Steele. India's 2 for 11 with a homer. Steers 3 for 6. Stuart Fairchild is 1 for 5. Any thoughts on tomorrow's matchup, Craig?
7 for 10 means he'll be on the bench tomorrow, right?
If he's on the bench tomorrow or not DHing, that would be a tough scene. You got to get him in there.
Yeah, let's just remember back to April 16th. And Hunter Green was coming off back-to-back outings. On the 10th, he went 6 innings. He gave up 6 earned runs, and people were freaking out. His ERA ballooned to a massive 4.86 ERA. He comes back on the 16th. He goes 4 innings of 1-run baseball, and people are freaking out because he only went 4 innings. And then he comes back the next game, and he goes 7 innings of 4-run baseball, and people are freaking out because he gave up 4 runs. Since that time, like you said, his last 6 starts, Hunter Green has gone 37 innings, 1.95 ERA, 188 batting average against. So for everybody that was worried about Hunter Green to start the year, I'm glad we took a chill pill. But I'm also going to say he's still 20-something years old. Like, he's going to struggle again. 24 years old. I don't have any doubts that there's going to be another stretch where Hunter Green struggles. So when that happens, let's remember this stretch that he's on right now and remember his ceiling and ignore some of the struggles that he faces along the way. I don't obviously hope it's not coming tomorrow. Hopefully he can continue his strong streak right now. The month of May he's been unbelievable. So let's keep that streak going. And let's have another primetime showing on primetime TV for Hunter Green.
All right, Craig, any other final thoughts? I got to go find something real quick.
Uh-oh. It's been a while, huh? Other thoughts, Justin Steele. Again, spent basically an entire month on the IL. He's been back now for the entire month of May. His first outing back, 4 2/3, no runs. Since then, he went 3 outings, 16 innings pitched, and 8.44 ERA before obviously his last outing being much better against the Brewers, 7 innings, 3 hits. Lowered his ERA from 5.68 to 4.45 in 1 outing early in the year. Not a bad thing. And just don't remember, this is like legitimate Cy Young talent in Justin Steele. So when the Reds come away with 3 hits tomorrow and everybody's clamoring for our offense sucks again, let's just take a breath. Take a breath.
I would expect a low scoring game tomorrow.
Bet the under, whatever it is. It'll be 8.5, probably 7.5, maybe. Take the under.
All right. Oh, we did it upside down. Oh well. All right. Cage for Dubs. There we go. Woo!
Cage for Dubs. And let's go.
Come out about another 60 times this year.
Winning card of the day. Let's give it to my guy, Tyler Stevenson. Had a nice day at the plate. 2 for 3, 2 singles, a walk. This is a Tyler Stevenson auto, 10 out of 10. Let's go, Tyler Stevenson.
Craig, since you work for free, I mean, I guess we can give you a free ad. Where can people go to get some cards?
Download Loop the app, Loupe, looptheapp.com. If you're more interested in checking it out on web, we are available on Android, iOS, and web. We have live breaks and singles and packs and boxes available 24/7 for your purchasing pleasure. So go find a break, buy the Reds in the break, get all the Reds cards from that break. Maybe you too can have a Tyler Stevenson autograph in your collection.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night. Trace should be back. Be a late one. Love that. 7:15 start. So that means we go on the air about 9:45 tomorrow or so. So hopefully we will be talking about a Reds series win. Have a great Friday night. We'll talk again soon. Go Reds.